Samsung Galaxy S10e 1 year later. Let me explain to you in this video my experience with this phone and if you should buy this in 2020. So having a look at the price of the S10e, it's been reduced by Samsung themselves. You can get it with a trade-in for 439 bucks. But originally it kind of goes for around $599. Now I'll leave a couple of links down below to where you can get this even cheaper than these prices down below. So go ahead and check those links out down below. But the pricing I think is pretty good right now on the S10e. It's actually quite of a bargain considering what you're getting in this phone. Now discussing the body and the design of the S10e, I absolutely love it 1 year later. I still do. And that's because of a few factors. Number one, it's super lightweight, 150 grams. This is one of the most powerful lightweight phones you can even buy still to this day. In terms of being more up to date, more modern, I'm not saying there's not other competing phones, but this light with this kind of power, pretty nice. Also, it's very thin on all sides, all the way around. So the S10e is a very easy to manage phone. The next thing I like about it is it has Gorilla Glass on the back, and it also has Gorilla Glass 5 on the front as well. Now, one thing I think you will like about this phone is the flat display. A lot of Samsung phones are curved, and this really gives the S10e an advantage when it comes to, buying a yesteryear Samsung. Most of them were curved, and if you want a flat Samsung, you typically have to go to the A series, which aren't bad phones, but now considering the S10e is coming down to basically the A series price point, and things like the S10 Lite, for example, Note 10 Lite, these price points, the S10e can be more of a flagship experience with a flat display. Now, this punch hole up here is a little bit bigger than the newer ones, and it's also not in the middle, so it's a little bit, it's not centered. It looks a little strange sometimes, but it really doesn't get in the way too often, and Samsung has cleverly hid it in their wallpapers. Overall, the S10e is still a nice design. I don't think it's anything, outlandish. It's not anything, groundbreaking. It's pretty conservative, but that worked. The embedded fingerprint sensor within the design has always worked well, and it's extremely fast. It's pretty similar to the one that comes on the Galaxy Fold. Overall, it's like you're holding a whole screen in your hand, but you're not sacrificing weight. You don't have to have a super heavy phone. It's just easy to live with. This has been the easiest to live with Samsung phone in terms of weight and size that I've seen in the past couple of years. And while it's 2020, it still is a unique proposition because they didn't really update the S10e. There's no S10e2 or S20e, at least up to this point. I also like that this phone is IP68, but I didn't like that this phone has the Bixby button still on board on the left, but you could turn it off. Doesn't really get in the way, but I didn't really like that too much. And 1 year later, I still like having a headphone jack. I still have headphones that have a headphone jack. As a matter of fact, I'm monitoring the audio on this camera right now with headphones that have a headphone jack. So it's still a nice little touch. I know most people don't need it at this point. A lot of people have bought in Bluetooth headphones, but it's still nice that it's there while still giving you dual speakers and Bluetooth 5.0. Okay, so what about the display qualities of this phone? Well, it gets plenty bright. It is a flagship dynamic AMOLED display. Secondly, it does have the ability to tweak it within display settings. So we do have dark mode, of course, within One UI 2.0 on board, but we can change it from vivid to natural. Now, one thing about the S20 is that it does have a higher resolution. The S10e has a 1080p style display, but it really doesn't matter at this size. You don't really notice. It's a typical great Samsung display with good color accuracy, with good vibrancy. When reading on websites, text is very strong. You don't have to worry about that, even though it's not the 2K or nothing like that. You really can't see pixels on this phone either. And the video watching experience is also quite good. Now, that little hole punch can get in the way depending on what's in the video, but you can go ahead and pinch in and you could still watch it in the 16:9 mode. Overall, I think it's plenty large enough for most people, even though this is a smaller body. If you do go ahead and compare this to something larger, it will seem small, but the S10e is still packing a pretty good 5.8-inch display, but the S10e's 5.8-inch display doesn't feel small. It just feels more compact. So 1 year later with the S10e software. Now, I did recently get the March update not too long ago, so we are on security patch March. And this is also One UI 2.0. Now, we should be getting One UI 2.1 for this phone as well, but I'm happy to report that we do have Android 10 on the S10e. It did launch with Android 9, but it's great to see that we have that on this phone already. And 1 year later with this software overall, actually I use this phone personally as my, distraction-free phone. When I'm trying to really focus down on work and not be distracted by my smartphone, I really do like the S10e. That's why it's so I have no apps on here really. That's kind of why it looks like this right now. But I do like that the S10e still offers up the same multitasking abilities of the other phones, and I do use these quite a bit, especially the split screen mode and pop view when I'm doing calculations, going in and out of my bank apps and stuff like that. It does come in handy quite a bit. So I can pop the calculator right here, go into a bank app, do some crunching some numbers without having to go and use a different phone for a calculator. And this does offer DeX support as well as, all these major features you usually get from the premier Samsung phone. So you're not missing out here when it comes to advanced stuff with the S10e. And that's what's great about this phone. You think because it's cheaper, you're going to get less of features. Not really. You're getting basically the same as what people are paying $1,300 for are getting. So that's what's great about the S10e. It's feature packed for a cheaper price. And talking about performance, it's excellent for the S10e. There's really nothing to worry about when it comes to performance with this phone. You really are going to get through the day really easily and not be annoyed at all with performance. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 855 CPU, that's 7 nanometers. This thing is a powerhouse in your pocket. There's been no lag on it for me. I have never had this phone restart. I've never had any lag. It's just a fantastic performer overall. You've seen it in my prior speed test. So 1 year later, I cannot complain at all about the performance with the S10e. And if you buy it now, you're going to be very happy with how this phone performs. You're going to look at it like this little compact beast. And so what about storage? Are you still getting a good value with the S10e in storage? And the answer is yes. Samsung's still launching phones to this day with 128 gigs, and this one does have expandable memory. Next up is the cameras. Now, what's fantastic about the S10e's cameras is that they're the same as the S10s, basically. They just removed the telephoto one. You have the wide angle and the standard. That's similar to what you see on something like an iPhone 11. Now, what's great about these also is I don't feel like the S20s have improved that much. Like, they're not groundbreakingly better. They do have better zoom and stuff like that, and maybe a couple higher resolution video modes, pro videos, features as well, and software, but the actual results are not that much different. Selfie camera is also strong on the S10e, giving you dual pixel and the ability to focus on screen as well. That's not available on a lot of other smartphones. A lot of other smartphones are fixed focus selfie cameras. Now, I will state one thing. You don't have pro video mode in this phone, which is a little bit annoying. Maybe we'll see it in 2.1 update for this phone. But some of the results you can get with the S10e are just out of this world. They're fantastic. I mean, look at the detail you can pull from this camera sensors. So you're not going to be annoyed whatsoever. The dynamic range is strong. You're not going to be annoyed with this camera. As a matter of fact, you're going to be very pleased and impressed with this camera. This is a Pro 2 in your pocket. Not to mention having all of your key features easily accessible on the top. And if you go into settings, you're going to be finding camera features for days on this phone. So you're getting all this for the S10e, but you start to think this is too good to be true. And well, this is where the S10e falls short, a very key feature, which is battery life. This was the worst Samsung phone I've seen in battery life of the S10, S10 Plus, S20, S20 Ultra. This is one of the worst of the latest flagship phones. But when I say worst, I don't mean bad. This phone was still able to get me through a day. And if you're not a super power user, which I don't think many people buying the S10e might be, then if you're a power user, you're probably going to buy a bigger phone so you can use it way more and stuff like that. The S10e, I think, is going to be fine for the target buyer of this phone. It still features wireless power share and wireless charging and very fast charging through the USB-C port. So it wasn't a big deal. I'm not disappointed. You could just buy a battery case if you really need more battery. Actual numbers, about 5 hours of screen on time on a good day. On a bad day, 4.5, 4:45. Standby time though creeped. It creeped. Most of my Samsung phones do creep. So if you go to bed with this thing at 100, you're gonna wake up with 96 or 5. It's not like some other phones out there. You're gonna go to bed with 100 and wake up with 100. Phone call quality and LTE reception has been fantastic. I mean, I really have good amount of bars most time for the Galaxy S10e. It just really has done very well in this regard. So if you're planning on using this for mobile data and stuff like that, I think you're going to be very happy with it. And so that's my 1 year later thoughts and experience with the S10e. You can see I'm overwhelmingly positive about this phone, and for good reason. This phone is a bargain right now. I think this is a better pick than a lot of Samsung budget phones right now because you're getting a phone that's at a flagship level for the same price as some of those budget devices. Now, where you gain on some of those budget devices, they have bigger batteries, something like an A71, A71 5G. These phones have bigger batteries, bigger displays. So you got to think about, do you want the bigger battery, bigger display, or do you want the better cameras, the better performance of the S10e, and maybe the compact size? So this is a unique offering still, I feel like. And because Samsung did not put an S20e out, I think a lot of people might still have some interest in this device. Thinking about the long term, this phone is probably 1 or 2 updates away from not being supported anymore. So if you want to get one, get on it now so you at least have a pretty up-to-date phone for the next couple of years. So are you getting an S10e? Are you past it? Did you trade away your S10e or you're still saving up for one? Let us know down below. If you have any questions on this phone, let us also know that. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to be well and peace.